Nerd podcast. As always, we are going to jump right into it with our top five. We're not even going to intro anybody. I know you're going to see some new faces on here, but fuck those new faces. We're going right into it. Top five zombie movies of all time. Our personal list, obviously. So we're going to start off with the newbie because I figured we will make the most fun of him. So we might as well go ahead and start with him and get it out the way. So welcome to the show, my nephew, Josh. Josh, what is your top five zombie movies of all time?
All right, so I got Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse as 5.
That's a good one.
Then I have Paranorman as 4, Zombieland as 3, the Resident Evil franchise as 2, and I have Shaun of the Dead as number 1.
So the only pick that I think we all respect on here probably is Shaun of the Dead.
And Zombieland.
Zombieland's good.
Okay.
Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse is really fun.
Oh yeah.
Really
That's
is it top 5 worth? I don't know. But the Resident Evil, I don't understand why.
Hey, this is top 5 from the perspective of a 19-year-old, you know?
Oh, so basically we old as fuck. And so we don't know. Okay, continue. So top 5. So you had the Resident Evil. Yeah, you got to justify the Resident Evil one. That's a tough one, man.
Look, I guess because my dad, he grew up playing those games, you know, when he was my age. So he got me into it. And I'd have to sit down and watch all the movies with him. I just really enjoyed the movies. I don't know. It's like, even though for the most part, they're not like the traditional zombie, they're straight up monsters at this point. I just like the nostalgia of like a video game having a decent adaptation, even though it's not accurate to the actual video game franchise for the most part. They do a good job at having the zombies, like the threat of the zombies, be accurate to what the franchise represented.
I'll tell you what, I played the original Resident Evil in a PlayStation and a Blockbuster in 1996, and I still have nightmares about that game to this day. So I was expecting that franchise to be the same caliber of scares, but
yeah. Okay, well then let's go ahead and jump to Jaren. Jaren, let's give us your top 5 zombie movies of all time.
All right. 28 Weeks Later. I liked it better than 28 Days Later. 28 Days Later felt like a student film on a shoestring budget. And I think 28 Weeks Later, when they realized what they could do, was more of what the creator wanted to show. So that's why I like it. And plus, if there's any argument about a rage virus being the same thing as a zombie outbreak, then we can't talk because they're zombies. Yeah, okay. The Dawn of the Dead from 78, the original, phenomenal. Zombieland is my number 3. I enjoy Zombieland. I think it was the perfect mix of danger and like well-directed, like the way they set up the rules and everything, phenomenal. And I thought it was funny. And I mean, you found out who you're going to call. So, you know, I liked it because Ghostbusters. Shaun of the Dead is my number 2. I love almost everything Edgar Wright. He is one of my favorite directors of all time, and the Cornetto trilogy obviously is dope. And then Train to Busan is my favorite zombie movie of all time. It was well directed, well acted, and there was an emotional crutch that really pays off at the end. It was just all the way through really phenomenal. And
give you guys a little bit of zombie action for people who are watching on YouTube and other places. Give you guys a little bit of zombie action for your top here.
There it is. And that's okay.
All right. Well, then we're on to the Duke of all nerds, Jason. The only opinion I probably will is respect on this whole thing. So give it to us.
All right. So number 5 for me is going to be Dawn of the Dead 78. You know, it's a great movie. It's it's got heart. It's got social commentary. Everything you want in a zombie movie. Number 4 is 28 Days Later because it's better than 28 Weeks Later. Just period. It's the shot where he's walking around London, one of the most busiest cities in the world. And he's just like, "Hello, It's great, and it's like the first time you see zombies that can actually like fuck you up. Like they're not slow shambling zombies. They're the kind of zombies that's like, yeah, I'm gonna rip your eyes out and stuff. 28 days later is way better than 28 weeks later. I'm sorry, Jaren, you're just wrong.
You can be wrong.
Number 3 is The Girl with All the Gifts. That movie is phenomenal. It has an ending that is a great twist at the end. It has a cute little girl who's also a zombie, who's also part human. It's just great all around. Number 2 is going to be the OG original Night of the Living Dead. It started the whole genre. It has to be on the list. It started the whole genre. Has a great social commentary to it. I mean, it's a masterpiece. And the number 1, I of course agree with Jared. Freaking Train to Busan is freaking amazing, dude. When I can't, I'm not gonna try to butcher all the Korean characters' names because I don't speak Korean. But the dude was fighting zombies with his fists and taking them out. It was amazing, and it had a great emotional structure to it. Just awesome. If you haven't seen Train to Busan, I don't know what you're doing with life. Just go ahead and go and watch it. It's great.
Pretty sure it's on a streaming service of some kind right now. It's either on
Netflix. I think it's on Netflix.
Yeah. So it's free.
That's where I saw it.
Highly recommend. And they're making a sequel.
They already made a sequel. Yeah. We'll talk about later.
Ooh, okay.
All right.
Our Cooties and Little Monsters on Hulu, which are great too. But
Little Monsters is really fun.
Yeah, I saw that one. That one was funny.
Okay. I'm sorry that I have to make sure that all of you guys are incorrect on your list and give you guys finally the proper list, the ultimate list. I was hoping, I would hope that we would be in lockstep, but no, not so much. So my number 5 is going to be Dead Snow. I mean, Nazi zombies. Come on, guys. It's the dream, right?
You don't have to feel bad about killing any of them.
Exactly.
Feeling bad about zombies?
But
if they're like your mom, yeah, you feel bad about it.
Exactly.
If your mom's a Nazi, then it's good.
Look here.
Then you're all good.
But Jared doesn't like his zombie movies with social commentary, so that's why he doesn't get the whole emotional threads there. Number 4, we got Shaun of the Dead. I mean, we all have it on our list. No reason to go into that. My number 3 is a dark horse, and I will say, kind of similar to Josh, how he says, I watched these films with my father, so that's why I have it on my list. I do think it's a good film, but it's in my nostalgia bag. It is Dead Alive, Peter Jackson, or some people I think it's called like a Brainwash or something like that, or it has a different name. But when I got it, watched it, it was called Dead Alive. It is just one of those just regular natural effect masterpieces, so you can't beat that. I'm always gonna go for the natural effects. That's why some of my favorite movies are that. My number 2, again, it started it all. George Romero, R.I.P. Night of the Living Dead, man. And then Night of the Living Dead, it goes up there high for me. One of the bigger reasons is because it's the first time we get a black horror movie lead actually quasi-surviving the terror of the horror movie. And I mean, just for the simple fact. Go ahead, Jason.
I said he does survive until he gets rescued.
Right. But it wasn't the threat. But also, too, let's keep it 100. This movie was put in an era where we still had a lot of racism and discrimination overtly out there, and he gets to punch a white guy in the face and tell him that he's in charge now. No other black man has ever done that in a horror movie ever. So it goes number 2 on my list. And then number 1, probably the greatest zombie movie of all time, Dawn of the Dead. Not the Snyderverse, not the Snyder trash, 1978, best social commentary about greed being good and how zombies and overconsumption can kill all of us. Just great. He's still the king. He's still the master, even though his last zombie films in Morero kind of were like, but he's still the king and he's still the master. So that is my list. Go in and have at it, Jaron.
All right. You have to at least give that opening scene in the newer Dawn of the Dead, that little kid going down the hallway or whatever, going after her parents. That was terrifying. That's that scene sits with me, but I won't defend Snyder. I'm just saying.
So, if my neighbor kid was in my house, the least thing I would be like, "What's wrong, honey?" Like, what the fuck are you doing in my house? Get the fuck out of here! We're sleeping. And then it's just her face all fucked up. Like, yo, we need to call the ambulance. What's wrong? I'm not gonna go and hug her.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of my house.
You're better than me. If her face was fucked up, you need to go home to your mama. You need to get out of here now. little white girl. You in a black man house, little white girl. You need to go home.
You lucky you didn't get shot coming up here.
Exactly.
Just walking. And this is also like, why are your doors unlocked? That like, I don't know, maybe you guys, keep your doors unlocked, but like, I have never lived in any place where my doors are unlocked and people just walk right on in. I don't care, like, even if I live in the safest suburb in the world, like, all those doors are fucking locked. No one's just gonna walk into my house. Or at least have to kick the first door down.
Okay, but here's the real question, and we gotta go, and we'll go round robin, starting with Josh here. I ain't gonna put the pressure on the young man like that. Well, I'm gonna start with Jason, then go to Josh, and then to Jaron, and then go finish. I won't even have a comment here, Jaron, because we argued this enough. 28 days and 28 weeks later, are they technically zombies, Jason?
Yeah, they're zombies. If they have lost control of their cognitive functions, they're zombies. Even though in 28 weeks later, it changes the freaking lore, and they're all up in the daytime at this point. When in the first one they weren't. So that's why that movie sucks, Jaron. Sorry. But yes, they're zombies.
Josh, are they zombies?
Well, I've seen bits and pieces of the movie, but my impression of it was they were almost vampire-like, more than like a zombie, from what I've seen. That's my opinion.
Besides your Resident Evil take, Josh, you're on the money now. Jaron, are they zombies?
Yes, they're fucking of course they're zombies. Absolutely. Also, 28 weeks later, we got to see Jeremy Renner doing his his
Jeremy
best,
Renner.
Yeah.
His best Jeremy Renner.
No, doing his best Hawkeye before he was Hawkeye. He was trying to get that Hawkeye job in that movie.
Yeah, and he was absolutely useless in that movie, as he is absolutely useless as Hawkeye. He gets gassed to death. Come on, get out of here. And the dude, like, they let the dude go and kiss his wife. There's no like protocols. Like, she's in quarantine. She's like, you know what? You like your movie? It's okay. I'll just never respect your opinion ever again.
Listen, somebody broke it down for me. Whoever has Hawkeye on his side, that's when the Avengers win. Every time Hawkeye is not on the team, the Avengers lose. So
he's the good luck charm.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, welcome everybody to the N-Word for Nerd podcast. I'm your host, Jason Big J, Corny J in the building. And I have an illustrious, a very rambunctious group. I don't know how I'm going to mediate and monitor all this, but we're going to try our damnedest here. Starting with my co-host, as always, the Duke of all nerds, Jason. How's it going, Jason?
I mean, it's going, I guess. Left is the direction that it's going.
Oh yeah, we're going right off the road, just like Army of the Dead. Bringing in my other co-host, we are going to talk. Jaron, what's going on, Jaron?
What's up? Dude, we could talk about Army of the Dead this whole time.
We could. We could just make this whole thing Army of the Dead.
Wow.
And we got to come up with a nickname for you too, Jaron. We got to put that into the processes, and
he could be the
we'll come up with something. Give me the token white guy. Yeah. The token white guy. The token. And then introducing to the microphone and to the show, my nephew here, Josh. What's going on, Josh?
What's up, everybody?
All right, he is in the building. Hey, Josh, go to the U. So he's taking a lot of time out of his busy schedule of looking at women in beaches and bikinis to be here with us. So I have to respect him even more, because I would have told my uncle, like, yeah, I'll do the show. And I would have been like 8 o'clock. I'd be like, motherfucker, Unc, I'm on the beach, homeboy. Like, you got to either get me on another day. So I respect that he's here, because turning down the women in those bodies is a lot to do. Jumping into it, we got a new segment, or I guess a segment. We're going to try to keep our viewers a little bit up to date on what's going on, because I'll be damned if half the time I don't know what's going on. So we have a little segment called Geek News. So starting off on Geek News, we'll try to recap some of the news that dropped sometime in the week, last 2 weeks, and try to bring it to you so you can know what's on the horizon or what's going on and what to expect. So starting off in the first thing of Geek News, you all get to relive the death of Optimus Prime over and over again in 4K. So, Transformers, I guess I should have said spoiler alert, huh? Transformers, the movie.
30-year-old movie.
Yes, 35-year-old anniversary. It's coming out with a 4K Blu-ray version of the movie. Does anybody have extremely fond memories of this movie and like the recommended, or do you think it's trash like Michael Bay's Transformers?
I recommend it. I remember watching it with my dad. We have the DVD still. And at the end when Rodimus Prime shows up, that's awesome.
Actually, knowing your dad, you're probably going to get the 4K version of it. Knowing your dad, so.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let's move on to the next news on there. In the words of the immortal, there can only be one person that's going to play Superman, The Witcher, and lose a fight to Tom Cruise. Henry Cavill has signed on to play Highlander for the Highlander reboot. We do not know if he's going to be Duncan MacLeod, but I feel like if he is not, I'll be almost partially offended. But I know you guys may have some hate about that because Duncan's my favorite guy in the Highlander series, but I know how that goes with other people in the fandom. Jaren, you in the Highlander any chance? Okay. Show the shrug. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the best Highlander is Quentin from the cartoon.
We will have this.
And they're really into swords, even though they exist in an era with guns. So I don't.
I mean, it's really hard to cut someone's head off with a gun. You got to be really, really good.
They are. Right?
You got to be.
Gotcha. Back and forth.
You got to be actually Hawkeye good to do that. All right, going on to our next topic. The DC universe has decided to bless us with more animation. Thank you to the gods of DC, because now we're getting a new Superman series, which honestly, when I read the description, sounds like trash. We're getting a new Batman series, which is going to sound pretty good. And we're getting an animated DC movie for Injustice, Gods Among Us, which I'm really excited about because DC seems to hit the mark almost 100% of the time with the animated series. Jason, what are your thoughts on in these three announcements?
Look, as long as DC keeps making cartoons, it's going to be great. I'm going to be there for it. You know, that's the best thing they can do. Period. That's the best thing they can do. They can't make movies, so they might as well make cartoons. All right, so let's go. That's awesome.
All right, now on this next bit of news, I am going to skip you here, Josh, but I'm gonna get right back to you. In white people news, Friends is going to have a reunion show on HBO Max. Since we've donned him the token, Jaren, you have to live up to your name. Excited, lukewarm? Are you getting your popcorn ready?
I don't fucking.
Is that a Friends reference?
I like Chandler, but I heard he was like fucked up when he was doing his interview and the announcement and like slurring his speech and shit because he's like addicted to pills or something. I don't know. So it could be fun to watch a train wreck, I guess.
There you go. Josh was shaking his head. Josh, are you into Friends? Is that your shit?
I'm not into it. There's plenty of people who I'm friends with that are, but I know plenty about the reputation of Matthew Perry right now, and it's not looking good for him.
No. So what I have so many questions coming off of that. One, you can say you're white friends. It's fine. Two, are you like the PR guy for Matthew Perry? Since you're like keeping up with him, or are you on his fan page? How are you keeping up with Matthew Perry?
I don't know. For some reason lately, not even including the reunion, I've been hearing a lot about him because he was caught on like dating apps, you know, like how Ben Affleck was earlier. And it was kind of awkward with that. You know, everyone's like, people didn't know if it was him or not. And it actually being true that it was Matthew Perry. And he was mostly looking for women in the mid-20s rather than women around his age, you know?
Whoa.
So,
man, the things you'll find out from Google.
At least they're legal. That's all that matters.
At least they're legal, yeah.
True facts. All right, Masters of the Universe is coming back with Masters of the Universe Revelation and on Netflix July 23rd. I did hear some extreme opposition to it, so I'm gonna give the floor to you, Jaren. Why are you hating on Masters of the Universe?
I was born. I grew up in the 80s. That whole situation is trash. Like fucking She-Ra, garbage. Fucking Lion-O or whatever his name is, He-Man, garbage.
Not even the right.
That was a joke. No, I mean, what the big cat, the little weird wizard thing with the zero that is just the most annoying thing in the world. Miss me with that. All of that. There's nothing. They're gonna have to change it up 100% for me to like it, and that means all the original fans with some like nostalgia boners are gonna hate it because it'll be good.
Look, I mean, I will give hope to it because I think Cartoon Network is somewhat intertwined with this a little bit because I do remember the Thundercat series that Cartoon Network did, and I wasn't a huge Thundercat fan growing up.
That was awesome.
I do have hope. I do have hope.
Yeah.
All right. And if we haven't had enough zombie talk, you're going to get a lot more going forward because Now, Netflix is also going to do a little bit of Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. It's going to be a CGI cartoon series going to be premiere on Netflix July 8th. Go ahead, since we have a Resident Evil, I guess, aficionado, or at least a son of aficionado. Josh, any thoughts on this Resident Evil Infinite Darkness? And will you and your father watch this together?
Most likely, we are going to watch this together. I'm excited. I know I've seen plenty of other CGI Resident Evil films and things like that. So, and I know they've been pretty good, much better than a live action franchise. And so, knowing Netflix and how they treated Castlevania, and they did well with that, amazing with that, I don't see how they can go really wrong with a Resident Evil franchise.
Okay, and so that is what we have in Geek News. And then again, we're going to keep trying to do this segment, and I'm pretty sure I'll get input from all of my co-hosts going forward, because I just literally just Google shit. Hey, what's going on in the Geek Sphere? And this is a list of things I got. So I was surprised that Friends made the Geek Sphere, because I really don't know anybody that. Oh, my wife watches Friends, but she's not a geek. So
I think all people that watch Friends are geeks.
And I don't think you mean it in a good way.
No. Living single will always be better.
Oh, well, we all know that Living Single is what birthed Friends. Friends is a ripoff of Living Single, but whatever. We don't want to hurt all the fanboys for saying that out loud. Let's jump onto a fanboy favorite here, because we keep it this theme of zombies. A little good old zombie film, debuted on Netflix, and it was directed, I think, and written by probably the hottest director going on right now in Hollywood, because people can't seem to keep tweeting and putting his name in all their mouths. Zack Snyder came out with Army of the Dead, a zombie film, which I think they said has a loose tie-in to his version of Dawn of the Dead that Jaren loves so much. So while we get started, we're going to get a little bit of the trailer, and then from there, we're going to let Jaren kick it off, since he loves Zack Snyder and all his eloquent camera work and all the crap he does. So
he makes great music videos.
Mr. Ward, how would you like to make $50 million?
Why, yes, I would love to make $50 million, sir.
No, wait, not this way.
Met up with the camp. We were both too tired, so we took turns to stare at the window at the darkness. The border.
All right, Jaren, let's go ahead and get to it, man. Tell us your feelings about Army of the Dead.
Okay, I mean, I don't have 3 pages like somebody, but
that's why he's going last. He's definitely going last.
Black Guy makes it to the end, phenomenal. Like we were talking about earlier. Tig Navarro is my favorite character type and favorite character in this. Her comment about them. She's like, when she sees the helicopter for the first time, she's like, why did he spend all that money on that little miniature? This piece of shit. That was absolutely hilarious. She's clearly got a smoking motor under her, and she's radioing, yeah, it's good to go. I'm just giving it a wash and a wax. I mean, the German guy, his friendship that he develops with the black dude was fantastic. I think they underutilized the Asian dude. I know he's just the money behind it, but I thought he's a great actor. I've seen him in a lot of things, and it sucks that they didn't utilize him a little more. I don't know how I feel about this idea, and this seems to be kind of in vogue lately. Zombies that have some sort of intelligent animal structure that they adhere to or something like that. These are supposed to just be reanimated corpses that crave flesh. So I don't know if I dig the whole, hey, we're gonna have a zombie baby and you kill my woman, so now I'm angry than I would be if I'm not that zombie. I don't know. And of course the guy the bad guy in the group that's clearly the bad guy that's like 100 always plays a bad guy. And it's just like everybody was really smart about it. Like even Tig breaking it down, like clearly how the hierarchy works here. You need me clearly because I need to be able to fly us out of here. But we really don't need that dude because he's clearly here to double cross us, right? Like obviously, I thought that was fantastic that she just calls it out straight like that. Yeah, and the tiger, the tiger, already took a piece of Siegfried and Roy. Came back for more.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's jump on over to Josh. Josh, what are your thoughts about Army of the Dead from what you saw?
So I got to see, the first 30 minutes or so of the movie. And before even watching the movie, just from the name of the movie, my impression of it was that it was going to be a sort of Zack Snyder twist on Army of Darkness, which it was not. It was not. The only similarities, like Jaren said, just having a more intelligent zombie threat, because in Army of Darkness, the Deadites are, a lot smarter than the average, dead thing. So that was one thing I saw. But from the first 30 minutes I've seen of the movie, it was very interesting. I couldn't finish it because I was hanging out with some friends. But I do like Dave Bautista. I think Dave Bautista is a very good actor, and this is a hot take because I do adore The Rock, but I think he's better at action movies than The Rock.
Whoa,
oh Jesus!
Those are fighting
Christ.
words right there.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh my God!
I don't think we can invite this guy back.
But I don't know. I did like the first 30 minutes. I liked how the reason for the apocalypse starting was because of a wedding car blowjob on the way to Las Vegas. So it was just, you can tell from the start this wasn't going to be, a typical zombie movie. There's going to be comedic aspects, and I like comedy aspects in zombie movies, as seen by my top 5 before.
Okay, man, you gave us something to take in there, Josh. I'm just going to keep it real here. I like the process from what you just told us. I think I pretty much stopped listening to you after you said Batista was a better action star than The Rock. So, yeah. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and mute yourself and get off the show. No, I'm joking. So
you can stay for now.
yes. So I'm going to be real with you. I like the movie. I thought Snyder did a better job of resurrecting someone from the dead than he did with Superman. So that's always a plus for me right there. Snyder may be the greatest montage director of all time. That beginning montage is just a masterpiece. As much as terrible as Batman versus Superman is, that beginning montage in that is really good as well. Watchmen, epic. Like, he may be the best at the opening scene. Hey, I'm gonna give you the whole universe in a snapshot and with a slow motion and a bunch of music. I will give him a little bit of credit because, to Jaren, what I always talk about, for me, my zombie movies have to have a little bit of social commentary. I like that about the thought process of the zombie movies being a substitute for something else socially. Zack Snyder, for the faintest moment, he tried to throw that shit in there. It was like, after an hour, fuck this, let's get to the action. I mean, he tries to hit on things about immigration, the mistrust of the government, the caste system, or how we treat our vets. Like, he throws all those little nuggets in there, and I'm thinking for the payoff, and it was like, nah, bruh, we about to be out here and blow these guns. So it turned into Zack Snyder. So I will give him some credit for that. At least he tried to add some of that conversation in there. And for me, at this point, if he just attempts something, it's better than what he normally does. Because I watched Baby Doll again, or whatever, or Sucker Punch. That's what it was. And I realized that movie is probably the worst movie I've probably ever seen. Because nothing in it actually does anything. It's just a dumbass movie for guys that want to whack off the chicks in skirts with samurai swords. So, I mean, again,
it's a feminist movie, Sucker Punch. That is a feminist masterpiece.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Him and Joss Whedon both, huh? So, with all that being said, I mean, yeah, we'll give our recommendations at the end of this. All right. So he had 3 pages, guys. So I'm literally going to put him into the big screen. We're going to zoom in, and we're going to let Jason have his time. Jason, please give us your thoughts on
I'm not going to read the entire 3 pages, but I did take 3 pages of notes on this movie. First and foremost, I think Zack Snyder is a 13-year-old boy, like, trapped in a man's body. Like, I know that you guys thought that blowjob scene was funny. I thought it was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I agree. I concur.
Yeah.
Like, that was literally like, oh, the zombie apocalypse happened because 2 people can't watch the road, and because someone's getting roadhead. Like, that's literally like what I would have thought of in high school and thought it was clever as fuck, but wasn't. As soon as I turned 18, I was like, that's not that smart. That whole entire first little segment could have been completely left out of the movie. Did not make any sort of impact or aspect to the movie at all. We didn't really need to know where the alpha came from. I mean, if it were a sequel to the Army of to the Dawn of the Dead, which it isn't, it's supposed to have nothing to do with either of those movies, then we could have completely left that out of the movie. But since it wasn't, they had this stupid ass scene in there. The montage was pretty good, but they make this whole they show this shots of this lady, this mom character who is supposed to be a badass, who ends up dying in the montage with her daughter, I guess, and like they never reference that again. Like that could have been a cool story character beat for Dave Bautista's character into going back into this thing after losing one of his teammates. It's like, and maybe his team doesn't trust him. But none of this is ever explained or ever discussed ever again. The only thing he really cares about is his daughter, even though he didn't really care about that at the beginning. And they resolve that conflict like halfway through the movie. She's like, "Oh, you left me," and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry." She's like, "Yeah, that's cool," and it's over. And then
actually, guys, people who haven't seen this, that is actually how it is resolved. He's not just fucking around for comedic timing. That's how it was resolved.
Speaking of his daughter, like I did. You know, like when she's like, "I'm coming along with you," he's like, "Well, you're gonna stay by my side." You know, for the very first moment that she's not gonna stay by his side from the get-go, because that's how movies work. She's going after her friend Gita, who went into the zombie infested to get some money, and somehow the zombies kidnapped her for some stupid reason, even though the zombies were making zombies. Like the alpha zombie took a guy and bit him right there, but for some reason he's keeping these people alive. We never explain why, but it's a good motivation that she she can realize her friend's alive, after she's already there, and the lady's like, "Well, sometimes a zombie takes people alive and keeps them for a while." So that's fucking bullshit. And then at the end, we don't even know what happens to the mom because like they don't ever show her ever again after the helicopter crashes. So like basically, this whole entire movie was for nothing. Like everybody for exception of the black guy dies, but even he ends up dying at the end.
He started.
There's also such thing as radiation poisoning. They nuked the city. He's just like, "Oh, I'm fine. I'll just walk through radiated Las Vegas and just keep on walking. It's fine." And then
that's
also the timeline of how the zombies get made into zombies. If he was bitten before he got into the freaking safe, he would have been a zombie before he got out the safe. If we're going by their timeline. He couldn't walk to Utah or whatever, or walk to the nearest farm out of Las Vegas, which would have been like 50 miles, and then drive to Utah, and then get on a plane to Mexico City, and then fly to Mexico City, and then realize, "Oh, I guess I'm turning into a zombie now." This movie, it didn't make any sense. Like the Mexican chick who tagged along suddenly is suspicious of the white dude, like who's obviously the suspicious dude. She's like, "Why do you even care that he's there? You were just there for the fun. Like, why are you the one bringing this up?" And then the guy's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get her killed." And then they're all just standing around just watching her die. Like, y'all are there. Y'all could have saved her. She was doing a pretty good job defending herself. If anybody stepped up and helped her, she would have been alive. And you're also like jeopardizing your whole entire mission for this. Like, and then also he jeopardized the whole entire mission for a zombie head. And like, this is worth more than $200 million. Like, why didn't you just do that? Why didn't you just tell them that? Like, if you're going to give them $200 million, or if you're going to betray them after they get back. It's like, "Oh, we made it back. All right, cool. You're all dead now. We get the money." Like, none of this makes any sense to me. It was just, I love zombie movies. I love them, but
it doesn't sound that way.
This made my head hurt.
How, if I could ask, did the daughter know to go to that particular hotel?
It's a freaking hotel. It's hundreds of rooms.
Yeah, I don't know.
She finds them in hundreds of rooms with okay. Yeah. And also, here we go. There's a lot of points where they pause and they talk about shit when they have a timeline. When they open the safe, they're all just looking at the money. "Oh, we opened the safe." It's like, y'all know there's a nuclear bomb coming in like 30 minutes. Like, I don't know why you're talking to each other like that. And then at the end, when the helicopter comes back, he's sitting there talking to Tig Navarro. Is like, there's a nuclear bomb coming. You also know that zombie's not dead. Like, it felt like they were just like, sense of urgency, man. Get on the helicopter and then like the thing comes up. Like, don't just stand there like, I thought you left me. Like, no, I didn't leave you. Like, this is really a funny situation. We should have a 5-minute conversation about this right here as this nuclear bomb's about to come and kill us all.
Yeah. If Batista had gotten off that if he'd gotten on the helicopter right when everybody else did, it would have been fine. They'd have been up in the air.
It would have been fine.
And
they would have been gone, and everybody would have lived, and they would have probably made it out of safe distance and not blown up or whatever. He would not have been a zombie. It would have been fine. But no, we had to pad it out for extra drama. Even though, like, if you wanted the super zombie to end up on the helicopter, just like get on the helicopter and the super zombie comes out and jumps on the helicopter. You don't need to sit there for 5 minutes talking. And also, I don't like this whole smart zombie. Because you know what a smart zombie is? A person. We don't need smart zombies. It's like just make them people. Like there's people living in there who want to stay in Las Vegas with all the zombies and they like killing people. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Like the fact that he's a zombie doesn't like affect anything whatsoever. It's just like once they become smart zombies, like it's just make it a person. Like because really these zombie movies are about like not about the zombies itself. A lot of these movies are about man's inhumanity to man. And that's what this whole entire genre is about. But smart zombies are it's dumb. I don't know. I don't like it. But well, I mean, this movie gave me.
Okay, well then going on to recommendations. Then Jason, will you recommend this movie for people?
See, no, I would not recommend this movie to people because there is already a movie with the exact same premise that is 100 times better. It's called Peninsula. It's a sequel to Train to Busan. It's 100 times better. It has the exact same premise where an ex-army guy, has to go get some money from an infected soul and get out in a certain amount of time. And it's so great. It's better than this piece of trash movie. So just watch that instead.
Is that on Netflix?
Okay. What's up?
Is that on Netflix?
Yes, I believe it is on Netflix. If not on Netflix, and it's on Hulu. It's one of those two. It's streaming right now.
I'll watch it. Tonight.
Okay, Jaren, do you recommend this movie?
No. If you could just cut down all the Tig Navarro scenes and watch that, it's like 5 minutes of gold. But otherwise, no.
Josh, from the 30 minutes that you did indulge yourself in before you guys had to go to bed. No, I'm joking. Would you recommend this? Would you recommend this movie?
Nah, I would not. I don't like Zack Snyder all that much. So, and from what you guys have said, you guys have sold me on not to watch this. So,
it makes you feel any better. I would recommend watching this movie. It's on Netflix. If you're already paying for it, enjoy it. You know not to expect like a real in-depth zombie film. It's at the end of the day, a Zack Snyder movie. You know what it is. I would recommend it as long as you're going with those expectations that this is what you're getting. A bunch of nonsense, but a bunch of zombie kills and gore. And I mean, you even at least got to watch it just for the tiger kill. At least. You at least got to watch that.
Oh,
yeah. So
see, I disagree, man. You could tell that dude was on strings. It was done so bad.
Oh, John,
so bad.
Here we go.
I like the idea of the zombie tiger.
Thank you. Right.
But it was not for it being Snyder and that kind of budget. It was actually.
Oh, here we go. Nope, that opinion will not age well, Jaren. We'll just tell you that now.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that they did really good because Tig Navarro wasn't really originally in the movie. She was green screened in because they fired Chris D'Elia and they basically took all of his shots and replaced him with her. And a lot of times you can't tell, except for the very first scene where it looks like she's like, "Here's some things I'm saying," and they're like, "Reaction," and here's some more things I'm saying, and they're like, "Oh yeah, cool, dude." And it's like the most generic, like blatantly obvious that she's not talking to them at all, and they're not talking to one another. But other than that, it was pretty seamless.
Yeah,
that tiger did not match up with that dude's movements at all.
Jan. Look, again, we got it all on recording now. That opinion when people go to talk about like zombie kills and like echelon of history, that scene is going to come up, and people are going to acknowledge that scene as like just being a fun scene. Well, what happened? But we understand the animatronic animation guy. Oh no, it's so fake. He wouldn't move like that in the physics. We're talking about a fucking zombie tiger. What are we talking about physics? Jesus Christ!
I'm talking about I'm talking about the actor.
Once again, nobody cares, Jared. It does not care. Captain America's shield bounces off 20 things first. Does not make it physics.
Look,
Nobody
all the
cares.
complaints of this movie, that's the least.
It is
Yeah,
crap.
exactly. People are going.
The whole
to
movie is
that
trash.
zombie kill was that zombie kill was great. He can accept Captain America's shield bouncing all the way to fuck off the universe.
It's
but
made from magic African rocks.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that's why. The power of the motherland invokes you. Going on to the other thing, we're talking about reboots, reassignments, whatever, because everything is a of something now in Hollywood. Chris Rock's. I say Chris Rock's because he was one that brought it back. Spiral, Book of Saw hit theaters last week, and some of us did go and indulge ourselves in this movie. So let's go ahead and jump it right off with Jason. Did you check out Spiral, Book of Saw?
I did not, because I'm not going into a theater because they're dangerous. There's a pandemic going on. But I do have some thoughts about the Saw franchise in general, and it's basically one of these things that they always say in one of these movies, like either what's his face Jigsaw says it himself, or some other person says, and like, well, you know, Jigsaw's not really a murderer, and you're like, do you know what the definition of murder is? Like, he's a goddamn murderer. He's a straight up horrible torturer of people that kills people horribly. He's a murderer. And you sound like an idiot when you say that. So it's like, I don't like murder. Well, stop kidnapping people and putting bear traps on their faces then if you don't like murder. Stop putting keys in acid. So they have to put their hands in the acid to get the key so they can unlock the thing that's going to shred them in half, you know, so you can teach them a lesson. That's murder, guys. That's murder.
Duly noted. And if anybody tells you that he's not a murderer, stay away from that guy because he's a murderer. All right, Jared. Jared, did you check out Spiral?
I didn't. I haven't watched a lot of the Saw movies. The most fun I've had watching Saw movie was that like internet video where he was like Jigsaw makes a horrible roommate. But that shit was hilarious. But no interest.
All right. And I'm pretty sure Josh, for rounded out, did not check out Spiral as well, right? Book of Saw. No go?
No, not really. I basically watched cliff notes of it just so I could be prepared. But for the most part, I didn't watch it. Nah, I did like the cliff notes I saw though. I did like the cliff notes, and I'm going to watch it now because of those cliff notes.
I've heard Chris Rock was great at it. I've heard.
Oh
that.
yeah, from what I've seen, it was like. It wasn't like a traditional Chris Rock movie, for sure.
Well, yeah, because usually the only time he's getting killed in his movies is when he was Pookie from New Jack. So,
man, don't even remind me of that. I'm still Pookie, man. Pookie, you didn't have to do the crack.
If you guys ever want to know when you listen to this program and if we really do any type of pre-production, I could just tell you we don't, because all three of those guys haven't watched it. I'm like, yeah, did you watch it? Nope. Nope. But the series sucks, though. Nope. But I got the smart notes. But all right. I'm going to make it very easy, short, and sweet to the point, because this movie should not take much time on this show. I would just impose you guys, if you want to watch Spiral, Book of Saw, just watch 7. It's a way better version of it with a lot more going on. This movie's 3 movies that they just jammed into one. The first part of the movie is Chris Rock's stand-up. He makes all these jokes about like how Forrest Gump, it wouldn't be acceptable in today's society, and how you shouldn't get married because, you know, as a cop being married, you know, you off on Tuesday is great, but it doesn't make up for Saturday. He does his whole like bits and all up in the beginning part. Second part of the movie is, yes, the 7 ripoff. It's like, oh yeah, he's doing these traps, but he has a purpose because, you know, it's against getting back at the police department for being corrupt. And then the last part is like, hey, we're in a woke era, so let's talk about police corruption and how this is the wrong way to fix police corruption, but we should fix police corruption, guys, because, you know, Spiral said so. Yeah, fuck this movie. Yeah, that's if you like Saw, enjoy it, have at it, have fun. Another reason I guess I was mad too, Sam Jackson's only like in 6-7 scenes. Now, he does give you a lot of motherfuckers in that time, but not enough to fit my quote if I haven't Sam Jackson in there. No, I'm off on that, man. Yeah, we can. I would not recommend seeing Spiral, especially if you got to spend your money and take the chance of getting COVID from going to the movie theater. No recommendation for me. All right.
Not worth COVID.
700 motherfuckers for Sam Jackson.
right. Yeah, he owes me some motherfuckers. Yeah, exactly. All right, jumping into the next program we did, or we're supposed to review here. Marvel hit us with another one, but this one I felt like because it's not on Disney Plus, they've kind of did a really good job of going under the radar with it. But we do have a Marvel series, M.O.D.O.K. M.O.D.O.K. for Marvel. Patton Oswalt plays the title character for it. Has anyone took a chance to gander to watch this for us?
I dare to watch it, yes.
Okay. Jason, let's start off with you. What were your thoughts about Marvel's
I
M.O.D.O.K?
watched the first 3 episodes. I remember the first 1.5 because the second one put me to sleep. I don't know who's this for. Like, who wants this show? This is not. It's not funny. It's not like. It doesn't make a lot of references to Marvel stuff other than like the bare minimum. Like, oh, there's Iron Man. I got his shoe. Like, it's none of it's. It's the. I mean, like, it just seems like Patton Oswalt, who's a really good voice actor, just phoned this in. It's like it doesn't seem like he wants to be there, and it's like none of this is good. It's just. It's bad. It's just so terrible. It's not funny. It's not, it's not full of references. Like, I would expect this kind of show to be like Star Trek Below Decks. Like, that's a show that is a fan service show that's supposed to be funny from a serious property. Like it or love it, it does have like Star Trek at its heart. So even though maybe like the jokes might not get, land all the time, it's still an enjoyable show because it has what it's trying to reference at its heart. This show is a callous money grab for cynical people. I don't understand why this is on here. It's terrible. Don't watch it.
All right, let's go ahead and jump to Jaren. Jaren, by any chance did you check out Marvel's new addition to their catalog?
I did. I watched the first 2 episodes, so I didn't even get as far as Jason. Yeah, it feels like Robot Chicken without the ADHD. I mean, like it doesn't bounce around, like, which apparently is the secret sauce to Robot Chicken. It's like they're not allowed to leave this narrative and go somewhere else and come back for a cheap laugh later. It just you're stuck with their worst idea and then you have to stay stuck with it. No, wouldn't recommend.
Wow, Josh, any chance did you happen to gander onto this and stumble across it?
Yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes as well. And I was going to say this did remind me of Robot Chicken, but if it was meant for Disney children. But it's not meant for children because they do stupid things like blow up rabbits, have people's arms get cut off, do little gory things just to remind you this is not meant for children. But then the actual show, like the storyline, is as easy to follow for like a 3-year-old. I don't know. I don't like the show. And I'm gonna have to agree. I'm not probably gonna finish watching the rest of any of it. And I was kind of disappointed. I thought it was going to be like comedic, making fun of M.O.D.O.K's funny man with a big head, but here's some actual like Marvel lore, things that are important to his character. Because for the most part, like people have seen M.O.D.O.K, but people don't know of M.O.D.O.K. And this isn't the way to get to know M.O.D.O.K. This is the complete opposite.
All right. Man, I love these moments in the show. when Jason...
What are you going to say, Jason? What are you going to say?
J, Big J get to be on some bullshit. I love these moments because I fucking love this series.
I'm out.
Yes.
What?
Yes. But I want to give some caveats. To do this. And Jaren is my witness will tell you this. I am a firm lover of Teen Titans Go. And if you took Teen Titans Go and Robot Chicken and they had a mutilated baby that came out as Marvel, this series would not be it. This would be it. This would be it. Teen Titans Go, it was so hard for people to stomach because all the arguments you guys are having about M.O.D.O.K was the same exact arguments everybody had about Teen Titans Go. That it didn't go with the lore. They just made up stuff. The characterizations are all wrong. And I love the fact this is like, hey, we're going to make this Jewish family comedy as he's married to a Mexican woman and have it like a day-to-day in the life of the office world of M.O.D.O.K as he tries to run AIM and is currently running it into the ground. I love all of it. I mean, granted, I'm biased because Patton Oswalt, usually anything he's in that's not Blade Trinity, I'm usually down for. So that helps you out a lot when it goes to there. But it is some gags in there and some jokes in there that I just thought were hilarious. And then even when you guys are like, oh, well, they don't really reference the Marvel stuff and all that, maybe because I actually watched all 10 episodes, they do reference a lot of it. Like they talk about Storm and Captain America. Even the last episode, because again, it's a spoiler show, is when he actually is in the universe where he takes over the Earth and he walks down the hall and you see Hawkeye's bow and arrow, which maybe Hawkeye's the word of the day or the character of the day today because he seems to keep coming up. But you see his bow and arrow, you see Thor's hammer, you see Captain America's shield, you see Iron Man's helmet, you even see Iron Man's initial helmet when he got the cave, and you see the Infinity Stones and the gauntlet on this thing. Like, it's chock full of little side moments and conversations. Also, at one point, I think it's episode 5, they do have a fight and they shoot a blaster that turns them into 2D characters. And they fight as 2D characters. Like, it is chock full of just insanity, like you said, from Robot Chicken style. But also, I enjoyed that it was like this whole, hey, we're going to take this villain that probably nobody cares about, and we're just going to fucking freak it and let him just go into this whole family drama as a narcissist, asshole, super genius, and go for it. I love the fact that, like, he was just a kid with a big-ass head and small limbs, and that's why he got that suit. It wasn't no mutation or nothing crazy. It was like no machine or program. It was like, oh, no, just got a big-ass head, kid. Like, I was here for it. I recommend it if you are a deep dive Marvel person. It's a lot of deep cut Marvel stuff in there. He has an episode where he renounces. He gets all like the masters of like the universe and evil together, like these off-brand villains, and gets like Whirlwind is one of them, and brings them all together to like storm Avengers Tower. But then he bails on them, and they end up getting like mutilated. Like, it is great. Like, again, I will tell you guys, I know it's tough. Sit through because you guys all made it to like pretty much episode 2. At least get to episode 5. And after episode 5, if y'all don't fuck with it a little bit, I'll put my hands up and let you have it. But I thought it was great. Episode 7 has some funny shit in it. The final episode of it is great as well. I say hang in there a little longer, guys. Hang in there. Because I felt the same way after 2 episodes. I will agree. After 2 episodes, I was like, why? What are we doing here? Like, what's the thought or the premise of it? It goes in, Jared, you love time travel. It hits on time travel in it and does it very creatively and fun. Like, yes, I would say give it at least 2 more, at least episode 5, finish that. And if you hate it after that, then you can come in next week and tell me I'm an asshole for wasting your time. Or you can come in and go, all right, it did get a lot better, and I see why you like it now. But I recommend it.
If you have to wade through 5 episodes before it gets good,
I think it's good I think it's good at episode 3.
There's a big difference between this and Teen Titans Go, because Teen Titans Go was actually funny.
And it was sharp. Yeah. It
was well written.
Yeah. You better slow down, Jared, because you and Alex shitted on me for like a Teen Titans Go.
I did.
So I bigged you guys up and made you guys to the theater and watch it. And then y'all were like, oh, that shit is pretty funny. And then y'all went back and watched the rest of the shit.
And I own it, yeah.
I mean, for Teen Titans Go, I hated the concept of it when it initially was starting out. I was like, I loved the original Teen Titans. I grew up on that, and I was like, what are they doing? And then I actually sit down, I watch the show,
it's funny.
And it's a clever parody of the characters. They I think they stay in character to the original Teen Titans series, but it's at the same time making fun of the fact that they're so serious sometimes. They do that. They make fun of that in an episode or in a movie. I forgot which one it was, about the original Teen Titans being so serious. I don't know. I love Teen Titans Go.
The only one that keeps in characterization literally is Beast Boy. That's why it's a floating theory about Teen Titans Go that this is a fever dream from Beast Boy. Every other character is completely out of characterization.
Robin. Like, that's why I think
Robin's
completely out of. Okay, yeah, he's a stinky.
The only reason I hated Teen Titans Go is because they canceled Young Justice to put this on, and I loved Young Justice. That's the only reason I hate it. I was like, oh, I don't want to watch this. But after watching, it's like, this is a funny ass show. M.O.D.O.K is not funny. It's not.
Hey, I'm gonna say right now, season 1 of Teen Titans Go is trash. As a guy who's watched it numerous times with his daughters, it's like 40-something episodes. It's not that good, bruh. I'm gonna keep it 100. Teen Titans Go didn't really start getting good to the 3rd season, but
that might be true as well. Young Justice is always better, anyway.
Yeah, 100%. We're not gonna. I don't disagree with that either. So I guess finally, for the first time this show ever, it was me against the world, and I'll go ahead and take that check mark by my name, like, going to throw it to me, Twitter, for a real analysis here from Jason.
I thought that the Resident Evil was a bad take, and you just made one just way worse.
If you want a Jewish American comedy about that centered around a family, just watch the Goldbergs. It's way better than M.O.D.O.K.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go with Curb Your Enthusiasm.
That too.
Not really a family, but that's funny too.
Yeah, but Curb is like an all timer there.
That's a classic show. Classic.
Yeah. All right, let's jump on into a show that I think is drumming up to be somewhat of a classic. Well, we got to what may be possibly the season break for the Nevers. Jaron said he thinks it's one more episode before. If it is, we'll come back and talk about that episode next week. But right now, we're going to talk about episodes 1 through 6. Really, probably 5 and 6 majority of this time. I'm just going to go right into it. That I have never, yes, pun intended, never loved a season one from Joss Whedon that was not Firefly, because all his season ones usually are complete garbage. And this season 1 right now, 6 episodes deep, is probably some of the best things he's done outside of maybe Firefly for 6 episodes. And maybe we can make an argument it's better than Firefly because Firefly was aired out of order. So with that being said, this show's fucking amazing, man. I mean, episode 5 and 6, especially the end of 5 with the whole switcheroo. And, I hate the switcheroo things as twists, but it was just so masterful. And it made sense because I think even we made a comment, or maybe me and Jared talked about this by ourselves, like how she was getting banged up and her powers didn't activate when she got arrested.
Right.
And it was weird that didn't happen because, we know she takes in pain and gets stronger. It didn't happen. Makes perfect sense now because she was not. Right. So the Nevers, you have my time. You have my money. I'm probably never ever going to stop watching it unless you have a fall off by season 5. So you already got me for as long as this thing runs, at least for 4 seasons. I'm in here. I'm too legit to quit. I got it. You got me here. Anybody else? Let's go ahead and jump right on to Jason, because Jason, you're the one that put us on to this. What are your thoughts about the Nevers' possible mid-season end?
So between episode 3 and 4, there was kind of like a little wonkiness because it was kind of like a time jump between, or was it 3 and 4? Where I guess a couple of months have passed since Mary had died, and everybody had moved on between 3 and 4, and it was like weird because the girl was having sex with the dude, and even though they were like hinting at they were having a relationship, you didn't really know they were fucking each other yet. But then on episode what is this 5 or 6? Oh my god! Like they set it up that Mrs. True isn't who she says she is, but I did not see that coming. Spoiler alert: they're from the fucking future or some shit like that. Future aliens bringing people back and putting them into other people's bodies and giving people freaking magic powers and stuff. Like, I did not see that happening, but it was such a cool twist that I was already hooked to the show, and I was like, they just brought me back in more and more. They just got their little grubby little, abuser fingers, Josh Whedon abuser fingers into me, just dragging me down to this bullshit. And I'm like, I'm with you, Josh. I love you, man. It's fine. But you're a terrible human being because this show is so good. Like, yeah, this thing was great. They got me for another at least 2 seasons. And yeah, I can't say it's good. It's a great show. It's great. It's great.
All right, Jaron, your thoughts on the Nevers?
Man, so I am absolutely with Jason on this. I'm with both of you guys. Phenomenal show. The only way I see it getting better now is if you look at all your favorite episodes of Firefly, you'll see that it's co-written with this guy named Tim Miner. If they bring him on to help out now that Whedon's off, it'll just make it even better. But the effects are absolutely first class, stunning all the way through. That fight with the hydrophobic dude in the water, some of the best television cinema fighting I've ever seen. They really pay off that issue that Amalia has with Malady, where she's like, you betrayed me. You finally see the betrayal. And you understand, but ironically, you understand why she did it. She's smart enough to know that you got to play the game to get out of the fucking the nut house. And she absolutely made Malady a sacrificial lamb. That watching season 6 for the first 10 minutes, I checked it twice. I was like, am I watching the same show still? But they did. It was interesting. I watching that, and I sometimes I get caught completely off guard. But as they wound down in the future segment, I started I pieced it together. I was like, holy fuck, is that Amalia? Is that Amalia True? And then somehow, because she's made these off point references, and they're there, and she'll make them constantly, but she won't. There's no like follow up. Nobody goes, "What the fuck are you on about?" Her situation, like she's like, "I'm here on a mission, but I don't have orders." And all of this, like, I'm a soldier of some kind or something. For the longest time, I thought she was one of the aliens, that they had left her behind, because she also references being left behind. So I was like, oh, was she one of the aliens that caused this? And then the ship dipped and she wasn't back on it yet. So this was an incredible payoff. Hard left turn in a way that I've ever seen in a series. So it was very, very, very gratifying. And of course, Whedon, man, you give him some time and a pencil and a piece of paper, he will write slang for another time and place with the best of them. Like calling people gray is the same thing as being called dim or dumb. All of her future slang was fantastic, and I noticed it. I mean, same with Firefly. Their space slang is great. Love it. So I cannot say enough good things about the show. The main actress is fantastic. I love Penance, and not just because she's Irish, but just because she's the heart. And so I also like that in episode 4, Amalia did her thing, big reveal with at the hanging, and then they get back to the place, and it's just like, hey man, how'd it go with you? Oh, it was rough. And then you don't see it. I'm like, oh, they didn't show what they were up to.
Yeah.
We get the whole episode where we get caught up on it. I'm like, oh, nice. So yeah,
they got their asses beat too. Yeah. They're all bloodied and fucked up.
Yeah. The doc's working.
All right, Josh, any comments on, did you catch up on the Nevers? How did you see any episodes?
Well, I haven't seen any episodes of the Nevers yet, and honestly, I have no idea what it's about. I also am not familiar with Firefly. I do know the importance of Firefly on science fiction, but from what you guys have said, I might want to watch. Would it be better to watch Firefly first and then get into the Nevers, or would it really not matter to want to get introduced to like Joss Whedon and his like vision?
Always watch Firefly first. It's the best TV show of all time.
All right,
hands down. So yes to that question.
I'm sure,
even though it came out when you were born. So
the best TV show of all time. Wow, that's high praise. Okay, all right.
But this show is also really good. So once you get done with Firefly, go ahead and get on this show too. I wouldn't say this show's the best TV show of all time, but it's really, really good.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It is really, really good. All right. Well, that is our conversation about the Nevers. We are going to shift gears really, really smoothly here, and we are going to go and talk about another Netflix series. I feel like Netflix is getting all the series now, and that is going to be Shadow and Bone for Netflix here. So this is another one that Jason told us to kind of check out here. So with that being said, Jason, go ahead. You going to start us off here and let us know what your thoughts about Shadow and Bone.
Okay, first off, I watched this whole entire series. I binged watched it, so it's obviously entertaining enough to keep me to watch this whole entire thing, unlike M.O.D.O.K, which made me fall asleep halfway through. The whole sort of like the whole world is very interesting. The main character is kind of, I would say, cliche a little bit. She's a little bit the chosen one prophecy, but the thing that makes her cool, which I know is different from the books that this is based on, is that she is a biracial person. She's half Asian from another part of the world, or in their world Asian, which makes her kind of a pariah already. So that's a pretty cool twist to it. Even though like her best friend, like, well, won't they? That's kind of like lame. But the thing that really made the show for me is the crows. Those guys are freaking awesome. Especially the boy Jasper with his guns. That's the scene where he's there in the train and the monsters are swooping down upon him, and he just stands up with his guns, and he's not even seeing these guys. He's just bullseyeing through the train to kill these monsters, and he's on fire. It was amazing. Pretty much that made the show for me. There's one gripe that I have about, particularly the character of Jasper, and they seem to do this in a lot of these like YA fiction shows where they make a character gay, but like the only way they can shorthand and be him being gay is to see the first guy he thinks is cute and fucks him. I feel like you can do better. Like there's a lot of shows I noticed this trope where they have the one gay character and he sees a dude and he's like, oh, and they make eyes and the very next scene they have sex and like that's kind of a stereotype that you probably need to get rid of at this point. Like have them have a story arc, have them have a love interest, have them, fall in love and have a boyfriend. It's like don't just like say just say this character's gay just by having him have the first guy he sees and fucks him. That's just this takes me out of the moment with that trope. Other than that, like you knew that the bad guy, I can't remember the character's name, General whatever, was going to be the bad
Cregan
guy.
or whatever. Yeah.
But it was still pretty cool that he was really the main bad guy the whole entire time. I thought that was a pretty interesting twist, even though you knew he was going to be the bad guy. I didn't think he was going to be the bad guy. Other than that, like, yeah, the girl is kind of bland, but I like the world they built. I like all the sort of lore they tell in the story, and I think it's a pretty good show. So that's my take on this Shadow and Bone. I might actually pick up the books and read them.
Okay, let's go ahead and jump. Josh, you get a chance to watch Shadow and Bone?
I did not, but I did look into it because I did see that it was interesting, and I do agree with Jason that from my impression of it, I do like how the world building is set up. It kind of reminds me of like a very complicated world building, like how Full Metal Alchemist is, and Harry Potter, things like that. And I definitely am interested in this because I do like both of those series. So I'm gonna give this one a watch too.
You got a lot of homework ahead of you, Josh.
A lot.
Yeah. See, that's what happens when you're in Miami out in the sun, you having too much fun. You
go down to the beach with your laptop and watch shows.
Yeah, bring the young ladies over. Like, hey, you seen this show called Shadow and Bone? You'll love it. Jaren, your thoughts on Shadow and Bone?
I binged it based on Jason's recommendation. It's good to see some airbenders that haven't been brought to the brink of extinction. Big fan of that. I mean, they were even on sand skiffs, and I'm having like season 2 Avatar: The Last Airbender like flashbacks. I'm like, oh fuck, they're gonna lose Appa. This is gonna be horrible. Jasper, also my favorite character, phenomenal. Not a bender at all, but real fucking flash, real good with those guns. Also, he has that swagger to him that character. I like it. He's smart. He's quick-witted. He also loves himself a little too much, which that's awesome. Those characters tend to have the best stories. One of the greatest payoffs, I think, and again, I got this because I watched it all in one sitting. But when they take the comfort goat through the
yes,
and he leaves with a bullet that then the main character's best friend uses after that to break out and get free. I was like, holy shit, that's the bullet that Jasper left with him as like a love note or whatever. I was like, that's fucking fantastic. I thought that was great. Obviously it's kind of got that Avatar: The Last Airbender bending thing going on, just with a different kind of vibe. And yeah, I mean it all takes place in like magic Russia, but
Magic Russia.
Ravka or whatever. But no, I can't say enough about it. It's fantastic. I thought the main character, I didn't think their friendship was quite as hokey as Jason made it seem. I don't know. I like that. I like that they were kind of orphans as kids, and that friendship kind of lasted throughout. So their motivations for trying to find one another, and their genuine how upset they are when powers that be interrupt their like letter writing campaign to each other. I thought that was good. And the Indian chick with the knives, she's fucking dope too. Yeah, the crow, great. Yeah. So, and I guess the guy with the canes there because what he bought her freedom. I mean, I could lose him real fast, but
oh, stop it,
the leader, yeah,
come on, stop it.
Dude, the comfort goat when he was like, "Goats for you," that was pure gold.
And he absolutely bonded with it just to calm himself down. I was like, oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm throwing more cold water, man. I'm about to just change my name to Super Jason when I have to go into these modes, man.
You about to naysay everything, man.
Oh my god! Look, it hit all the fantasy tropes, and I know you, Jason, is a writer, and as Jaren, as you a connoisseur of fantasy, and I feel like I'm in that echelon, but not as deep as you two guys are. They hit all the tropes, they hit all the lore parts. It was just boring. Like, only thing was interesting about that show was, you're right, the crows. And when the crows were on screen, I was there for it. I'm like, yes, what are they going to do? How are they going to pull this off? How does he keep outthinking everybody? How does he keep having, I mean, at one point when it was like, oh, go to plan B. And he goes, looks in the guy's phone and goes, all right, go to plan F. Like, you had a plan F. That's awesome. Like, I agree with you. The chick with the swords, Jasper, the crows are by far, I wish there just would have been a show about the crows and all this other shit on the side, because all the other shit, I don't care. I mean, it kind of made me go back to my Jupiter's Legacy or Jupiter's Legend review, where I wish I would have watched this when the season 2 was already done. And then I could have watched this all the way through and then watch season 2, because season 2 has to be the most intrigued. Like, are the crows going to team up with them now? Or are they going to work it? Like, I cared nothing about the main storyline. I thought for a moment I got interested when they did go back into the fold, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe she's going to destroy get rid of the fold in season 1, and now they have a whole nother conflict because this dude is still trying to take over everything and be the ultimate ruler. And it's like, nah, the fold's still there. We found out she wasn't strong enough to do it anyway. So what the fuck did we do this whole season then? He didn't know she wasn't strong enough to take her to the fold? Like, what the fuck? Okay, great. All right, she wasn't strong enough. We get it. It just, I feel like nothing happened with the storyline we should have cared the most about. And the storyline that was supposed to be the B plot, I think was the best part of the whole thing. And like, not only because it was the best part, the characters were actually interesting and developed, and you knew what they were fighting for, and you knew why they wanted to do this, and you got what they were all about. Our main characters was like, she was a puppet. She had no feelings about what was going on. It was like, oh, it sucks that I'm being done this. And then she got comfortable with being the sun shoulder. Like, oh yeah, I'm this person now. I'm great. And it's like her boyfriend that get left. Like, what did he thought that because they friends, he should follow her everywhere? Like, is that what he thought being a soldier was going to be? They're like, oh, well, you're a soldier. And then to make it even worse, the beginning episode is when she tried to follow him, he tried to kick her off. And he spends the whole rest of the show trying to chase her. Like,
he's a king simp.
This is born of a YA novel, so
yeah.
I get it. I get it. I'll admit, like, how you guys felt about M.O.D.O.K, I felt like y'all were bored. I was bored any time that the crows weren't on the screen, period. And so that's almost over half of the show. I was just like, oh, here we go, this bitch again.
The other half is good, though. So we're at 50%. That's all you need.
Like I said again, I wish this show had already had a season 2 and I would have watched it. And I know we're going to jump right into recommendations. That's my recommendation, kind of similar to Jupiter's Legacy. If once season 2 drops, I would say watch it all, because I think now you'll get more of a complete story now. But if you're just going to watch season 1 solo, I'm going to say wait on it, man. Like, I can't recommend it because I just felt like half the show was boring, and I could watch the boring parts and then get the season 2 where I think they're actually going to ramp up this stuff a little bit. So, Jason, I'm recommending?
Yeah, I would agree with you, though. The crows are the most interesting part of the show. I would definitely watch a show of just them only. And the main character girl, she's a little bland, but I mean, for me, it wasn't enough to take me away from the story. The world building was good. You don't really see a lot of fantasy novels from Eastern Europe or any other place other than England. So, like, the fact that they did Russia, even though they could do Africa sometime, that'd be great. It was pretty cool for me. So I would give it a watch, especially if you like fantasy, especially if you like young adult fantasy. Give it a watch. It's good.
All right, Jaren, would you recommend this?
Yes, highly. I would recommend it. It's I do agree with you. So there are some issues with the story. What the fuck is up with light powers always being trash compared to dark powers? That guy, that dude,
dark powers are the best.
Right? That dude was not stacked. He didn't have fucking, antlers and shit in his neck, and he was able to create the fold. But you telling me even juiced up on that antler juice, she's not able to destroy the fold with her light power because it's not that good? I mean, I don't know.
Because black is beautiful. That's why.
Hey, blacker the berry, the sweeter the fold.
Yeah. And honestly, it feels like it did end prematurely. You at the end of the series, you get the one Grecian and her captor on a boat, on the same boat with the crows and the two main characters, and it's like, well, okay, what the fuck? Now I want to like let's go, let's see what happens. Like, what happens? And they're like, see you next season. And I'm like,
right.
To be
Tune in.
continued.
yep.
Will they get out of this predicament? Will she be able to get strong enough to stop the fold? We'll find out in season 2, which will probably stretch to season 5. Check out Shadow Fold.
And the way the fold like grows and shrinks based on dudes like, you know, magic or whatever. I was thinking to myself the entire time, it's like, yo, get new girl on the outer edge and just have her start picking away pieces at it. You know, like you don't have to destroy the whole thing in one go. Just destroy a chunk of it and then move in and destroy another chunk of it and then keep going. Wipe that shit out. But I mean, you know, that doesn't make for great storytelling, I guess.
Not at all.
It also
Not
seemed like after a while that crossing the fold wasn't that big of a deal for people.
Mhm.
Like at first you're like, oh, this is really scary and dangerous. And they're like, oh yeah, I did like 10 times. It's fine.
Well, that
Right.
he had a gimmick in the
Yeah,
tank.
I'm gonna go cross the fold to go to a party on the other side of the world. Like, no, like there's monsters in that shit. Like, y'all just send me a letter, all right?
All right. Well, we are going to shift gears to the last topic of the day. This is actually the main reason why we brought on Josh, because as many people have noticed or have talked about, we all did a little top 5 list of our top 5 avatars. And so, to refresh everybody's memory, to give everybody what we chose at the time, we have Jason, the Duke of all nerds. His number 5 was Aang. His number 4 was Ruku. Number 3 was Wan. Number 2 was Korra. Number 1 was Kyoshi. Mine, number 5 was Yang Chen. My number 4 was Aang. My number 3 was Wan. Korra was my number 2, and Kyoshi was my number 1. And last but not least, or probably his list is probably least, but Jared had Yang Chen as his 5, Wan as his 4, Kyoshi as his 3, Korra as his 2, Aang as his 1. So we're going to start off here with love and go, Josh, please give us your top 5 list of your avatars, and we will go from there. Josh, is on you.
All right. So my top 5, I had number 5 at Wan. I put him there because he's the blueprint. He had some of the best episodes we saw in Korra. I love the animation style they chose for that, and just his story was awesome. But I put him as number 5 just because he's the blueprint, like I said. And besides that, there's not much he contributed from what I've seen, so I put him at number 5. Number 4, I had Korra. I love Korra. I don't like people who don't love Korra. So, but Korra's great. Legend of Korra as a show was awesome too. I put Korra as number 4 just because she was like the complete polar opposite of Aang when it came to embracing the fact that she was the Avatar right off the bat. Just saying, I'm the Avatar, deal with it. Like, that's awesome. And when she was like a little girl when she did that. Like, I don't know. I love Korra. I had number 3 as Kyoshi. Now, I don't know much about Kyoshi, but from what I saw when I was watching Avatar and what everybody had to say in the show about Kyoshi, she's definitely the most intimidating of the Avatars. You know, a giant woman, starts her own female army, and we see some pretty cool things talked about when mentioning her, how she was able to basically move tectonic plates. Like, that's insane. And then I had Roku as number 2. Now, that's a hot take. I understand.
I like the fun.
A lot of people don't like Roku because Roku failed at what he did. But from my perspective, seeing Aang go through his journey, the one avatar he spoke to the most was Roku. And I felt like by doing that, Roku was using this opportunity to redeem himself for the mistakes he made while he was the avatar, using Aang as sort of the second chance. And I think Aang wouldn't have been the same without any. Like, if Roku didn't exist, Aang would not have been the same person at all. And then that leaves number 1 for what you guys probably known as Aang.
I was gonna say Wing Chang.
I think Aang gets too much hate because he was a 12-year-old child during his show. Even though what he did, caused by leaving, that caused like the genocide of his people, which is terrible. I think what he contributed to afterwards, off screen, mentioned in Korra, and how he basically with I forgot the name of the city. I think it's the New Republic City.
Republic City.
Republic City. The things he contributed to basically create his best attempt at a utopia. As we've seen, there are some flaws with it that M.O.D.O.K points out with the bending privileges and things like that. But for the time Aang was alive, he did the best he could with the cards that were dealt with him. And I don't know, it just reminds me of like Naruto's journey. Naruto, he gets to Hokage, he gets essentially world peace, and then in Boruto you get sort of the aftermath of the flaws of world peace as well. I don't know, that's my list. I like my list, but
your list is trash. I'm sorry.
Look at that. You hear that deep cut? He tried to give us a deep cut with the Naruto reference. Wow. All right, I'm going to let Jason start this off here. What do you think of Josh's list?
Your list is trash. You're a terrible human being. I don't know why you're here. You're just... No, I'm sorry.
It's called nepotism, Jason. That's why it's nepotism.
Everybody, I also like Aang as a character. If it wasn't for Aang, there would be this world would not exist if there was no Aang. And I obviously it makes a lot of sense for a lot of people to like Aang. He just wasn't my favorite because, he started a genocide. I don't know. And I also like the fact that you don't like people who don't like Korra. I think that's great because Korra went through some shit. She deserves hugs and love because she went through some shit, guys. She went through a lot of shit. She needs y'all's help. All
right, Jaren, your thoughts on the list? Because you had Aang as number one too. So
I had Aang as over. Yeah, I agree. A couple of those need to be swapped around, but yeah. And yeah, you're right. Korra, she's got to rebuild the past lives from nothing. So being severed from all of them like that. So yeah, no, Korra definitely had the hardest go of it, I think. And I don't know, Yang Chen, I love Yang Chen. But yeah, I mean, I agree, 100%. Aang is the best. I think if you guys keep giving him so much hate for the things he created, he was a 12-year-old boy, and the fate of the world was foisted on him many years before he was out. They even said he was allowed to be able to handle that kind of pressure. He acted. Korra was trained in seclusion because Aang was a little overprotective after the shit he went through. So
as a college, you said, "Deal with it. I'm the Avatar."
Yeah. But also, the world didn't depend on her. There wasn't a war brewing at that very moment.
True.
So, I mean,
you're right.
An Avatar in war and an Avatar in peace are two very different characters. So,
absolutely. I mean, my list. I think I always joke that my list combines Jason and Jaren's a little bit there. I would say with Josh, I think the only problem I have with his list, I mean, it's going to be a lot of people that are going to put Aang number one. I mean, they're wrong, but they can have Aang number one. I mean, they can have him. It's fine. Because Aang is not even, when it comes to working the elements in the fight, he's not even the strongest in that. And then we damn sure know, besides that, again, we can't forget that he did run from his duties. You're like, oh, he's a 12-year-old boy. He still ran. He ran, and all the stuff you're talking about, he did to himself. They would have moved him and hit him too, and he would have had time to train. But he ran, and I'm sorry, a 12-year-old boy or not, you still had your past lives. So Aang even had because for as far as we know, no one else gets really reincarnated except for the Avatar from the series, as far as we know. So even in your excuse to be like, well, he was a 12-year-old boy, he's a 12-year-old boy that's lived thousands and millions of lives. So his 12-year-old experience is not a true 12-year-old. Yeah. He has a connection to a lineage of other people that could have gave him advice.
He had to learn how to touch his previous lives. At 12 years old, when he ran away, he had no connection to that. He didn't know.
Also, are they really being reincarnated if they're all different kind of people?
Yeah, that's the thing that I think they never really settled up in their mind.
Like they're
how that
really
works.
not like no two avatars are really like the
Yeah,
same.
and
Like
it's
not even
usually-
personality wise are they the
Right,
same.
because-
Yeah, it's usually the one right after is a complete opposite of a personality too. They're not. It's not that they're like the same kind of person either. Like, it's totally different. But
It's
So they're more
also-
like getting just the powers and have access to the powers rather than them being reincarnated.
Well,
also,
and-
when
right.
Aang ran from his
Life.
duties, he didn't mean to. When he went into that small hibernation, he didn't. think
100
it was gonna
years?
last 100 years, because when he came out, he thought, okay, maybe this was like a day or two, something crazy like that. When he found out it was 100 years, you could see the guilt that he had when he realized
oh,
what he had
fuck,
left behind for 100 years. It wasn't
Oh, yeah.
intentional.
Because he was a coward? Yeah, I would be guilty too if I was a coward.
Yeah,
And millions of people got slaughtered because of my decision to be a coward. Yes, I would feel guilty too. Yes.
but it's to be fair, it's not like during those 100 years he was actively staying a coward. It was just
Right.
a 1 second
For him, it was
decision
a flash.
going into the avatar state. Next thing you know, he opens his eyes a second later and he realizes what had just happened. That's why, like, I don't 100% blame him for what had happened, because it was the first time he had gone into the avatar state to do that, and he didn't know it was going to do that.
Yeah.
You know,
And
Well,
this is-
again,
this is the
all
Wonder
the
Woman
aftermath, all the aftermath stuff you're telling me, I'm perfectly fine with. Like, yeah, he didn't intentionally get into an iceberg. Again, that's what I keep saying. He ran. He left his responsibility, and he knew he was the avatar. And he decided that his cowardice was bigger than his responsibility. Nobody on this list that we have named has that issue. And I know you go, oh, he's a 12-year-old boy. But yeah, he's a 12-year-old boy that knew he was the avatar since probably like 5 or 6. He knew that he was going to have to be the barrier and probably the team eventually. Yeah. Like, if it goes by Korra, then they know. I mean, I know Korra was more of an anomaly because she found out she was able to do other stuff very young compared to most other avatars. That's what they kind of stated as.
They tell you when you're 16.
Right. Again, he knew he was the avatar early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aang did.
Traditionally,
everybody except for Aang and Katara, or not Katara, and Korra were told early.
Right. So the avatar, supposedly the way that the show shows it is that the avatar doesn't know that they are the avatar, but they present them when they're all babies with certain toys, and the avatar will always pick toys that are in reference to his previous
we
life.
know all this. We're saying that Aang knew, though. Aang knew he was avatar.
Aang was told when he was 12.
Yeah, he was told.
Again, he knew he was the avatar.
You're not supposed to tell him until he's 16. Because
Jaron, we're agreeing. The point is, he knew he was the avatar, and he bounced.
Telling someone at 16 is probably still a little bit too early because when I was 16, I would have been like, "Nah, fuck that noise."
But you also didn't grow up in an air temple and actually had like a lifestyle of monks and service. And again, nobody talks about it too as well. He ran from that as well. Like as an air nomad, they have a responsibility, and he ran from that too without having to be the avatar. Like,
he's a little flighty.
Yeah,
literally, figuratively.
He's just trying to avoid the conflict, man. Kind of, he's been trained to do that.
You know what's going to be a more controversial list that we could do?
What's up?
Best side characters. I bet that will start an argument.
What are you talking about, Momo? No other answer.
Best side characters.
Momo is
best side characters in Avatar. Come on, we all know.
Obviously,
we know Toph.
Toph is number one. It's got to be Toph or Sokka. I don't know.
Yeah,
You're wrong.
Wrong.
My cabbages. Yes, the Cabbage Man is the best. His Cabbage Corporation in Korra's age. Good for him. That's a small businessman for you right there.
Yeah.
All right.
Get up in the world.
All right, guys. Thank everybody for listening. I know at the beginning of this, I was supposed to say things like, share, subscribe, follow us on Headcanon Circus everywhere. We're on all digital listening platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Anchor FM. So we are everywhere that you want to be to hear us, see us, and enjoy us. So please remember to like and share and subscribe. Shout out to all the new people who have been subscribing lately and watching lately. Thank you guys so much. We are definitely humbled. I think the last video did about 7K. I'm not expecting those type of results this time, but if we do get those, I'll still be just as happy as I am now. So again, thank you guys who did listen and watch our stuff. We enjoy doing this week to week. Other than that, Josh, you got any closing words for your experience here? We didn't beat you up too bad, did we?
No, it was understandable beatings, definitely for the zombie list. But I mean, to be fair, I haven't like dived into any of the classics that the old '70s Dawn of the Dead or I forgot what it's called. But I definitely need to. I need to get more into the classics. I do have much different opinions and better knowledge on like anime, things like that. Uh, so if you guys ever have topics like that, I'm more than happy to come back for those too.
Oh yeah, we could talk anime any day of the week with you. I'll be glad to do that. Jason, any final words for everybody?
Yeah, just be kind and tip your servers 20% at least, please.
I know that's right. Jaren, any kind words for the folks listening?
Seriously, thanks everybody for watching. He was talking about our numbers going up. It's pretty fantastic. I hope I'm not like the least favorite on the panel.
You're probably everybody's favorite. I think I'm probably the least favorite because my ridiculous hot takes. And especially today, man, I think you guys unleashed a whole nother reviewer in me because I don't think we agreed on damn near anything this episode. But good for me, bad for you all.
We agreed on the numbers.
Yeah,
yes, that is true.
Yeah,
that is true. But that's also still good for me, bad for you all because I'm always right. No, but again, thank you guys. We really do appreciate it, and we will see you all next week. Peace.